And welcome to the Zodiac Lounge. We're here again in our friendly neighborhood basement speakeasy where nothing gets canceled and you can speak freely. And we're better off than most people because I have a few news items to read and a couple of announcements to make. Number one, we are using a new interface to bring you on screen. So you will see a link in the chat area. And actually, I'm going to change browsers and see what I can see here. So I can't see anything there. That's great. Is anybody seeing anything or hearing anything? Please write in chat if you are. Okay, I guess you are. So, one of the things that's going. And welcome to the Zodiac Lounge. What the We're fuck is that? Our... Wait, sorry. Oh my god. Sorry, folks. Potty mouth. Didn't mean it. So, as I was saying, we have one more day in National Suicide Month. There are more suicides in the month of February than any other month, and that's probably because of sunlight deprivation. But the Earth has tipped on its axis, and now we're all getting better light, better vitamin D. We're going to be happy from here through the glorious summer. So, as I started to say before, I made a big technical mistake and dropped an F bomb. We do have a new interface. As you can tell, I don't know what the hell I'm doing with it. Thank God Scott's behind the scenes running everything. But if you'd like to come on camera and ask a question or interact with my guest or myself, click the link, sign in, give them access to your camera and your audio and maybe your firstborn child. I don't know what they're asking for. And you will be on screen with us. So, cancel culture strikes again. Let us bow our heads and remember Mr. Potato Head and Dr. Seuss. Mr. Potato Head was canceled this week because he has a gender, and we can't have that anymore, according to some people. But Dr. Seuss got canceled. I kid you not. I'm going to read it word for word. He is now a racist propaganda agent. He is spreading racist propaganda because the Cat in the Hat and maybe green eggs. I have no idea what they're talking about. But he has been canceled in China and California. And aren't you glad you don't live in either of those two places? I sure am. So, a couple of announcements. We will now be able to run your ad. So, if you have a business or if you'd like to promote yourself, please send us a 15 to 30-second MP4. Unless there's another format that is usable, Scott can let us know. He's in the background. He can speak up if he wants to. They will be free for a short time. I don't know how many months it's going to be, but we can now take advertisers, and I'm very happy about that. I'll be making an ad. Hope I can do it and not get myself in any kind of trouble. A couple more announcements. Next week's guest, Scott Wass, is going to be on my show, and he's going to be talking to you about all the energy work that he does, but he makes beautiful healing wands. I never saw them until the beginning of this week because I arranged for him to have a trunk show at Astro West at 102 West 79th Street in New York City. That's the corner of Columbus. So he'll be there next Sunday, October 7th, and I will be there with him. So if you'd like to come meet us, come to 102 West 79th, corner of Columbus, from noon to 5. You're going to get to meet Scott. You'll meet me. You'll see everybody that works there. Beautiful crystals and minerals. And of course, Scott Wass's amazing wands. So I'm very excited about that. So tonight, we're talking about homeopathy. And I never quite understood it as well as I'd like to. And I met our guest about a year or so ago. And we become friends, and I'm learning a lot more, and she's just amazing. So without further ado, I would like to bring to you my shaman, healer, energy worker, and homeopath. I called her a homeopathist, and I got corrected. Homeopath, Stacy Chiulli. So, hi, Stacy. Welcome to the show. Your mic is off.
She needs to unmute.
How's that?
We're off to a great start. Yep.
Hi.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Okay. If I can recover from what I did a few minutes ago, you'll. We won't ever talk about that again.
Okay.
So you are many things. You have many talents, and they've developed over many years. So why don't you just give us a little bit of background? Explain homeopathy. What exactly is it? Because I had it all wrong until I met you.
So, homeopathy is a system of medicine that is based on the law of similars, meaning like cures like, meaning that a substance that will create substance will cure someone with those same symptoms. So, homeopathy was discovered in like 1779 by Samuel Hahnemann in Germany, and he was he was a doctor, and he stopped practicing because he thought that the medical system at the time was doing more harm than good. So he decided to translate texts instead to earn a living. He was a linguist, so he's translating them in several different languages. And he came across cinchona bark, China, or what quinine is derived from, was had curative properties in the treatment of malaria. So it occurred to him, if a healthy person took cinchona bark internally, would they develop the symptoms of malaria? And he did. So he developed the intermittent fever, the heart palpitations, the sweats, therefore understanding that like cures like. So it took about 7 years. He practiced on his friends and family, with which any homeopath out there will know we do that constantly. We're always throwing little pellets down our friends and family and ourselves too.
I'll touch to that.
Yeah, I have a remedy for that. So, but he noticed that obviously he was using all different substances of the time, which some of them were poisons, like, certain things in the plant kingdom, for example. So he diluted them. And they're diluted. That's the second law of homeopathy, is minimal dose. So they're diluted down to their energetic level. So what happens is they're diluted in water and alcohol, and in order to potentize them, they're succussed. It's a process called succussion, which is vigorous vibration to bring the energy up. And that process goes on and on and on. And the higher the potency, the more energetic it is, yet there's like nothing in it. And that's why there's so much flack. If you Google homeopathy, you'll see, oh, it's a pseudoscience or something, because they cannot detect the essence of the energy within the remedy.
Okay.
So
So something you said earlier, you said like cures like, and then you said that he took cinchona and got symptoms of malaria. So how would that cure him if he had malaria and then drank cinchona, and would his symptoms become more severe? Or is it like hyposensitization? Like when I was a kid, I got stung by a bee, and the next thing I know, I'm in the emergency room because I was going to anaphylaxis. And I don't know what they did to me there. They stuck all kinds of things in me, but I had to go home, and I had to, for 10 days in a row, I had to inject myself. And it was 1 part of that mixed venom to like 1,000 parts of distilled water. And then the next day it was 500 parts of distilled water for 1 part, and then so on and so on. And then I can get stung by anything. I could even say Candyman in front of the mirror 5 times and get swarmed by them and not die. It was great. I mean, it just took a week and a half every spring. And then ultimately I lost the allergy, I guess, as you do. So what you're saying is that he took too much cinchona and got the symptoms, so he had to bring them
no, he
down.
just took it in its crude form. So homeopathy
Okay.
is an energetic form, but he took it in the crude form, in the
Okay.
actual, just like now you wouldn't take arsenic to get rid of a food poisoning, but there's a remedy called arsenicum, which is arsenic, but it's diluted into what we call its impotency. There's not
Okay.
a molecule of arsenic left in that remedy any longer. It is the essence. It is the frequency of a poison. So like cures like, meaning your body responds to illness. It has a pattern. It moves in a certain direction. Homeopathy works in that same pattern. So what the remedy, let's say, for example, you have food poisoning, and I'm going to give you the remedy arsenicum, which is arsenic. So it will create energetically in the etheric field, it would create a, a, um, a, a fake, it's a fake disease in a way. So now your body is fighting off this fake disease that the homeopathy has given you. And in the process, your own natural immune system, your own ability to heal is kicked in and the whole thing is pushed out. So it's working with the same pattern your body would normally do in order to purge itself or whatever of the poison. Onion, let's use a better example. I feel like I'm confusing you. If you have allergies and your eyes are tearing, onion is a remedy. Like cures like. What can create, as an onion would create tears, the same thing in a homeopathic potency will remove those symptoms because it stimulates your body to do what it does naturally. So it's like, here's a little, here's the spark plug that's going to stimulate your body to react, and it will burn off the artificial disease that is the remedy, and your body will kick in and the whole thing will disappear. That's how it works. Homeopathy is energy medicine. So you really have to understand that we are energy, and it's working in the energetic body.
Okay, that makes a little more. Now I'm getting it.
Am I confusing you?
No, I'm just not very bright.
I disagree with that.
And you've been licensured, so you've got it way over me. And I have that problem. Not problem. It's not a problem. I just have a predilection of thinking that everybody knows everything I know when I'm telling them about it, and I forget that I had to. It took me a minute to catch on, but now I'm definitely getting it, and it's actually pretty fascinating. The energetic body, which then reflects to the physical one.
Yeah. Itself. So your vital force knows what to do. So you're just going in the same direction. So the vital force is doing whatever it does to heal you. And the remedy is just like jump starting it. It's just taking it up a notch. So it moves a little faster and it moves out. Okay. I hope I'm making sense. I feel like
you are. So what, when you were a little girl, did you dream of growing up to be a homeopath?
Yes, of course. No.
Well, let's start from you because you have a very interesting story. You were born in the Bronx. Let's hear it.
I was born in the Bronx. I moved to Suffern, New York, when I was 11, where I introduced jeans because nobody wore them till I got there. So I take full credit for that.
Word.
And the
Did you tell me you were the only person in school who was dropping F-bombs, and suddenly everybody?
In 6th grade, apparently.
You were quite the little trendsetter. So how did you go from that? How did you go from a foul-mouthed child
jean wearer
to a homeopathist and energy healer? Talk to me. What was your first understanding of energy? I mean, did you have any inclination at all? I mean, because usually children, we're just pretty much concerned with our world, our immediate world around us, and we don't go into understanding other subtleties. How did you get interested in that? Were you very young?
I always had, like, my favorite subjects in school were always like Greek mythology or Roman numerals. Like, I always liked that. And then my godmother, which is interesting when I was thinking about this today, that she was my godmother, who she had tarot cards, and she showed me pictures of space, and she showed me these esoteric things. And it's the first time I ever saw a baby in utero. I was like fascinated. I was a little kid. So she turned me on to that, and I loved it. Plus it was, the 60s, and so that was going on, and it was that was my thing. Like, I knew I was always attracted to esoteric things. And then I had a chiropractor who, when I was in my very early 20s, who turned me on to alternative medicine. But I was still, walking in both worlds a little bit. And then I was about 30 years old, and I had my both kids, and they were babies, and I had this like meltdown moment. I was like, what am I gonna be when I don't have to, be home with my children anymore? And so-and-so's a nurse, and so-and-so's a teacher, and I don't know what I want to be, and this whole thing, which sent me back to college to study psychology and literature.
And your children were babies when this happened? Because usually that happens when people's children leave the home and then suddenly they feel like they got fired from all their jobs and they start thinking about what they want to do. So you had an intuitive flash, huh?
I did. I had a midlife crisis at like 30, which could have been my Saturn return, maybe. I
Might have
guess, right?
been, might have been, because that happened between 29 and 31. But you always, you're ahead of the game. So my money would be on the midlife crisis at 30.
Yeah.
But and if anything, what it did is it motivated you to seek training, to just do something now. So when that day came, when your children, who I adore, Stacy has the most amazing children. They have their mother's attitude, and their father's patience, which is like a perfect combination. And now Uncle Troubled's around to corrupt them a little bit. So God only knows where they're going to land, but they're good. So you're thinking, it's like, what's going to happen? You know, raise a family, keep a home, and go
And
to school.
something.
Yeah.
Right. And I and the funny thing is, one of the most unstable people I've ever come across in my life
Mm-hmm.
gave me 2 cassettes, Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. Again, because I hear an echo. Could you hear that?
A little bit. Your screen is frozen here. Let's see what you look like on Crowdcast.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Did you hear me? Did you hear me?
I can. Yes.
I'm still hearing an echo. Okay. So
So somebody gave you 2 cassettes. You were saying.
yes, 7 Spiritual Laws of Success.
Mm-hmm.
How people heal and something like that. Carolyn Mace. And Carolyn Mace opened me up to all the chakra system and energy, and I became fascinated with that and never turned back. I've been studying energy ever since. Just
okay. So now when we
met
for our prep conversation, I'm getting my book out that I took to the park with me.
Can you hear me? Because I feel like I messed this up.
No, you're fine. You said something about, were there 3 laws or 3 laws of homeopathy? 3 laws of homeopathy? I'm reading our notes from when we prepped. Now I can't hear you.
Yeah, Anthony, it says the guests has muted themselves.
Did you mute yourself? Let me text her. Sorry, folks. New platform.
In the meantime, we do have a question from Annie.
Okay.
About night eating syndrome, meaning cortisol high at night, having me wake up and eat. The regular doc just wants to give me Prozac. Homeopathy school gave me something under the tongue. Think they make gunpowder out of it. Totally gave me anxiety. Went back and wanted to give me arsenica. Did not try it. At this point, I think they wanted to kill me. So actually, if Stacy has a comment on that. For some reason, we've lost Stacy's sound.
Apparently she can hear. I can't hear you.
Yeah. Right. As it says, the guest has muted themselves. So somehow she's... I don't know what's going on.
We're going to get this together.
Right. Well, I think you need to turn your microphone on, Stacy.
So if you can hear me, you can hear that. So did you mute yourself on the Ecamm Live page? So unmute yourself.
No.
You didn't.
Well, I didn't do anything, so.
I didn't either. What do we do, Scott?
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. She needs to unmute herself.
Did you do it on your computer? You're on your laptop?
I'm on my laptop.
Now I can hear you.
We hear her. We hear her. She unmuted herself. Whatever you did just worked.
Okay. Now,
could you hear me now?
Yeah, except that you're not synced with your video, but that's okay.
I don't know. It's showing I'm muted the whole time. I think it was when I tried to plug in my AirPods.
Oh,
Okay, so now that's done. Let me just see something because I may just switch to a Crowdcast page to make it easier for me. Is that okay, Scott? Will I lose anything if I do that?
if you go into that
I,
from here.
I cannot do that, is what you're
You
saying.
mean you
I
want to
how about
go?
if I-
You want to appear on Crowdcast? Yeah. Yeah, I think we can.
try. Wait, so either here I come or there I go. Get ready, folks. Okay, I'm signing in. It's loading, and there I am. Okay, Scott, will I lose anything if I do that?
Okay, we just lost Anthony.
What do you
Okay.
got? What do you got on there? You think that's what it was?
No, it was on the whole time. Your volume button's on top of the computer.
You sound fine now, but
Me?
we lost Anthony. Yeah.
Yeah, no. He's gonna...
1 second. Okay. I'm not sure where Anthony went. He's gonna have to like sign back in. I think we can do it now. I mean, you sound fine. So. Okay, give it a second. Let me call Anthony.
Okay. You trying to get in again?
No, do you want to?
Yeah, I want to see what's going on.
And for some reason, I'm muted.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Good.
can you hear
Okay,
me?
so now we're back. Sorry about that, folks. Bumps in the road whenever there's anything new, but this is a superior platform, so just bear with us, and I do apologize. So Stacy,
That
we
question-
were at your understanding energy and then ultimately going to school for homeopathy. Is that where we left off?
Right, and somebody was asking a question. Do you want to answer the question first?
Okay, can anybody hear me? Why
Yes,
am I?
can you hear me?
So now we're back. Sorry about that. Oh, okay. Hold on a second. There, that's better because I had another browser open. Damn, I'm making a mess of this. So somebody did have a question, and that was about arsenic, I believe. Did you answer that?
Well, no, I don't think you have to repeat it.
Okay, no,
Okay, let me
Scott did
repeat
read
it.
but- okay.
And Anthony, if you could put some earphones on, that would be great. If you
I got to go find some. Am I echoing?
well, okay, we'll make it work. So, night eating syndrome, meaning cortisol high at night, having me wake up and eat. The regular doc just wants to give me Prozac. Homeopathy school gave me something under the tongue. They think they make gunpowder out of it. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you. And it gave her anxiety. They went back and they wanted to give me arsenica, and she did not try it, and she said they were trying to kill her. So actually, I can actually bring Annie on maybe Annie, if you want to. Actually, no, well, you can start answering. I'll try to bring her on. How's that?
I know they gave her gleninum, which is actually gunpowder, and that's for usually explosive kinds of headaches. It's interesting that they're giving her anxiety medicine, or gleninum not really so much, but arsenicum is more of an anxiety medicine. So no one's trying to kill you. Actually, on my website, I have a blog that's just about that. there's nothing that would affect your physical body in that way in a remedy. It's just energy. So every energy remedy has a frequency. And if it matches a frequency within you, then it resonates. If it doesn't, it does absolutely nothing. So nobody's trying to kill you. If it's not working, it's not the right remedy.
Okay, so basically Arsenica will not harm her. I think she was.
No.
I would be a little jiggy about that too, to be honest with you.
That's the funny thing about homeopathy is people are afraid to take it because of what it's called. But if it doesn't resonate with you, it does absolutely nothing. Trust me, I'd be dead 10 times over if everything I took was going to harm me based on a poison. I mean, Lycopodium is snake venom. I take that all the time. And it's not like that. And what I find really interesting is people will have no problem taking a pharmaceutical, God knows what in that, but they're afraid to take something that's pure energy. So it's just a misunderstanding of what homeopathy is and how it works. And if it's not working, it's not matching. And that's the hardest part of a homeopath, is to find the right remedy. Because there's a bunch of remedies and we're trying to match it with your frequency. So go ahead, talk to me.
Annie, did you hear that?
It's just a misunderstanding of what homeopathy
I'm hearing everybody like in triple.
Yeah, me too. It's not working. It's not matching. And that's the hardest part of a homeopath, is to find the right.
I understand what's going on. Crowdcast has a lag on the sound. There's a delay between this and Crowdcast.
Annie, turn your Crowdcast down a bit, please.
Annie, did you hear that?
If you could.
Turn my Crowdcast off. I'm
Down,
hearing
so we don't
everybody.
hear it. Because we're hearing your Crowdcast. That's why we're hearing the echo.
Okay, that's
That's
all.
good.
That's
Perfect.
better. That's much better. Thank you.
Hey,
So now we know that, folks. When you're on, just turn your Crowdcast volume.
Okay, well, I stopped going to them a couple of years ago. Of course, the night eating syndrome, like I did last night, woke up, got something to eat, go back, lay down. Then my acid reflux kicked in and I puked all over the place again. This has been going on for like 6 years. They can't decide. My regular doctors say there's, Prozac, and I went out of the regular doctors. I went to a getting me up to eat. And when that happened, it's not a good spot because then I'm puking like I did middle of my sleep.
The night eating could very well be from anxiety, because that will cause that. People eat for many reasons.
1957 by Dr. Shockneck at University of Pennsylvania, and he said night eating syndrome makes the cortisol high. I did get the blood test to prove my cortisol was high and my melatonin's low at night, and my cortisol is very low during the day. That's why I eat nothing all day until late at night. And
Well, so listening to what you said that the night eating makes your cortisol high. So something's causing the night
me night eat.
Okay.
My cortisol being high makes me eat at night.
Okay. So Stacy, what do you recommend?
Well, I would say homeopathy treats the whole person. So we want to look at everything that's going on with you to find your signature frequency. So I would want to know when this began. I'd want to know mental, emotional symptoms about, what other physical symptoms do you have? I would talk to you and we would get into your fears. It sounds like from what you've been prescribed, they're addressing it from an anxiety standpoint, which cortisol, yes, but it's never a one size fits all kind of solution. I want to know about you. There's probably 20 anxiety remedies. So it's about how, are you an angry person? Are you a sensitive person? Are you whatever. Everybody, it's a different remedy for the individual. So it's not like, you need, like I thought, maybe there's a remedy called Lycopodium, which does deal with acid reflux. It's a liver remedy. So there's some anger involved in that because the liver is the organ of anger. So I would take your case, which is, getting to know who you are and addressing it that way. So, but if the remedy's not working, which clearly neither of those work for you, it's not going to do anything for you. It'll just burn off like you never took it. So there's nothing to be fearful of homeopathy. There are no side effects. The only time there's anything, it would be a healing. It's a healing aggravation, because everything happens from the inside out. So when we take your case, we're going to peel off the layers. Like, was there a trauma that occurred 5 years ago? But underneath that is something else. So that's how we address it. You're just kind of rewinding the tape to get to your alignment, to get to the place where you're in alignment with yourself and your energy just flows. Because there are things that are discordant right now in your energy field, and the homeopathy is what will address that. I feel like I'm not being very clear for some reason. Am I making any sense?
You are to me.
It's just that I researched this for the past 8 years, and the doctors just want to think it's mental, but it's hormonal.
It's hormonal. Yeah, like, I mean, there's
anything. But Stacy, you were explaining to me, and Annie, please listen to this, that when you have somebody with multi-symptoms, don't you treat the most prevalent symptom first?
What we call the simillimum, which is the bullseye. So you have one remedy that covers everything. That's, the remedy that will match you best. It will match your symptoms. It'll match your personality. It'll match the way you live your life. But that's not always easy, because something like, allopathic medicine will muddy the picture. So it's like, you might have symptoms that are from a medication you're taking. It's not your real symptom. So, so we do, but we'll work for the chief complaint. We'll work with that. And then that's how very often, the older we are, the more layers there are. We're just trying to get to, all right, that's your biggest thing, eating at night, we'll deal with that first. And then underneath that, there's this trauma from 10 years ago. There's grief in there. We might deal with the grief, but we have to get there.
I've done EMDR, and I'm in grief right now because I had to put my dog to sleep. But Anthony knows I was taking care of my 3 closest friends with Alzheimer's. And I was like there 24/7 at their house. Unless I was at my house sleeping, I was with them for like 3 years straight. So, and then
you have a caretaking thing on top of it. So there's a lot going on in that. But there are remedies that deal with all of those things. So yes, there's definitely a way to look at it, and to unravel it is basically what we want to do. And the remedy definitely helps move it along much more comfortably.
This has been helping with my acid reflux. The new
Nux
vomica.
I don't think I took it last night. Yeah, but I did wake up and eat applesauce, and that was the end of me.
So that might be a good start to at least get rid of that, and that'll remove some of the stress from you, and then you can work on the other things. But it's interesting because, you sound to me, and I may be wrong, Stacy should correct me because she's the expert here, but you sound multi-symptomatic, and it could be coming from many different sources. But as Stacy said, take the one, what's the one that's most prevalent, that's giving you the most distress, find out how to deal with that, and then there's your bullseye, and then everything else will hopefully fall in line. But
if we get rid of the night eating, then we get rid of the GERD, which has. I'm stuck.
My screen is freezing for some reason.
Who prescribed that remedy, or did?
Which one? This one? Somebody Anthony and I know, a friend.
Yeah, no, that's a good remedy. I mean, it's a good, and it also clears, it's a good detox remedy. Are we back?
I guess one more minute. I'm back. I mean, my screen freezes from time to time. But I'm just going to deal with it. So thank you, Annie. I hope you'll renew some trust. Arsenica is not rat poison.
Mm.
No, nobody's gonna poison you or kill you.
Actually, arsenicum has been super helpful for COVID because it's a great, as soon as you're getting sick, remedy.
Mhm.
And that
Okay.
was a prophylaxis for COVID in the homeopathy community. Worked wonderful. I mean, as soon as March hit, I gave it to everyone, 200C, couple of doses, and
Yep.
it just nips it in the bud.
Yeah, I think it's also in, Zicam. It's an over-the-counter holistic cold and flu medication.
Mm,
I think it's in there too, along with zinc and a few
yeah,
other
it's a very
things. So that
popular
that nips it
remedy.
right in the bud.
Mm-hmm.
So don't let the name scare you, Annie.
No.
Hey,
Arsenica is
after what the first thing gave me a severe anxiety attack, I wasn't going to try another thing from them.
It's
That
not
was the
like that,
homeopathic
though.
tool out there.
Okay, thank you, Annie.
well,
Thank you.
yeah, thanks very much. Now,
We
Mariana
have
had a
another
question.
question. Oh, you want to answer? Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That's fine. Mariana did have a question. I was trying to bring her on as well.
Mhm.
Do you have anything you can recommend for digestive disorders in improving health of the gut health of the gut? And also, what is the acid reflux herb or medication you discussed?
Well, again, you don't prescribe like that. You prescribe on the whole person because everybody presents it in their own way. You know, you can have acid reflux and it keeps you up at night. Somebody could have acid reflux and it makes them fall, whatever. There's different ways people present. What I mentioned was a remedy called Lycopodium, which I have used for my husband, and he did very well with it. But that's him and that's his personality. It is a liver remedy. And also, like, one thing about Lycopodium, the aggravation is from 4 to 8 p.m. So if you're aggravating around those times, then Lycopodium may be the right match. But we really don't practice as homeopaths. We don't practice like in that, one size fits all. Oh, you have this, then that. Yes, there are remedies that have an affinity for certain illnesses, but it's not this, then that. It's not like that. We look at the whole person, the whole picture. If somebody can get a cough and they could have, I want to be by myself. Other people want constant company. Like, it's those little things. Like, there's so many little details in homeopathy that I remember when I was studying it, I would come across things like people say their body feels like glass. And I'm like, who says that? Like, just weird stuff. And one day my sister was saying to me, I can't explain it. I just don't feel good. It feels like my body's made of glass. And it's just a fascinating science. It really, really is, because when the remedies are proven, that's how you know what they cover, is by people take them for 30 days to develop the symptoms and record it. And it's just different sensations that people have. And 10 people that said the same thing about their body feeling like glass. So it's really, it's a science and medicine that doesn't get enough credit because it's been considered, like all alternative therapies have been, less important and not as effective, it's just not true. I mean, everything is important. Western medicine's important, but so is alternative medicines.
Each other to complement each other's efficacy. Psychotherapy was called a pseudoscience too. As a matter of fact, in the 1920s, psychiatrists or psychotherapists were called alienists because they were believed to be dealing with alien intelligence invading a human body, making them do all of these things. And we now know that they're emotional illnesses that can be very successfully treated with talk therapy and medication. But the understanding of talk therapy about the need to put something out there out loud actually gives it life, and it allows you the confidence now of dealing with it. So then when pharmaceuticals need to be introduced, perhaps to deal with a specific symptom, you're treating the whole body. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about, that you're not going to just say, what are your symptoms, and then recommend some remedies. You're going to talk to them. You're going to find out how they think, what their blockages are. So that really makes a lot of sense that you're integrating everything. So again, it's about a body, mind, spirit treatment. And then your remedies are essences. Now, I've worked with essences when I had my aromatherapy company. I had a line of aromatherapy. In America, it was mostly about younger looking skin and stress management. But my European clients were a lot more brave because that science is respected a lot more over there.
Yeah.
So now we can, I was dealing with things like scleroderma, which is a tragic illness. I mean, there's no way to arrest it, but you can retard it to the point that what would normally occur in months will now take a decade. So there's a way of understanding the metabolism, but we also had to know their psychological makeup because these essences will have effects in behavior. So understanding their behavioral predilections would help us kind of tweak our formula. And then because they're so aromatic, we had to come up with 3 or 4 of them because if somebody didn't like the fragrance of it, they weren't going to apply it. And if they weren't going to apply it, they weren't going to get treatment. So I'm kind of getting where this is at now. It's really, really interesting. And whatever you gave me for my shoulder the other day, the more I'm taking it, the better it's working. What was that?
Ruta gravelion. It's rue. Do you know the herb rue?
Yeah.
Do
Oh,
you
yeah.
know
I used
that?
to grow it.
Yeah, it's rue. It's rue. That's the Latin name, Ruta graveliones. But
And that is
yeah,
for tendons?
for ligaments.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Okay.
even, that's a good, like even your eyes when you have tired eyes because the ligaments in your eye, so it's really it's a ligament, it has an affinity for ligaments. But what I wanted to say was the etiology is very important in homeopathy. Never well since. What was going on when this happened? Because very often there's something going on in your world that within months before that triggered it.
Oh God, with the year
So,
I had, it could have been anything. But what kicked it off was carrying a big box of cat food from Chewy up 2 flights of stairs. 'Cause I had it on my shoulder, and then it just started hurting like hell. But you know what I've been going through.
guys, we have a couple of questions.
Okay.
First, the remedy that you were discussing, could you spell it out for people?
Lycopodium.
Yeah. L-I is
Oh.
like
Lycop.
Lycop. Yep.
Lycopodium. Podium.
I-M. Like that?
I-M.
Something like that.
I-U-M.
I-M.
Lycopodium.
Yeah, right.
Let me write it.
Okay.
Lycop.
No, it's good. We have it.
Lycopodium.
Good. And where would be the best place to get psyllium husk and slippery elm?
Slippery elm.
Yeah.
Well, you can get the remedies at Whole Foods. You can get get one, but they're really not that hard to find. Like the vitamin shop, all the vitamin shop here up on the Upper West Side, the Vitamin Peddler has them. The outdoor, like a lot of pharmacies have
They do
homeopathic
now. Yeah.
Whole Foods
They
has
do.
them. Fairway has them.
Dwayne Reed has them.
Dwayne Reed has Arnica and the Arnica Gel. Arnica is a very popular. That's a remedy people don't. They have the Arnica cream. Arnica is the most popular remedy. It's like the trauma remedy. You get a bruise or ache. And one of the keynotes, and this is how homeopathy works, is Arnica says, "Don't touch me. Don't touch me." That's an Arnica keynote, so you know that it's yeah.
And what about rue? Where's
Ruta? That's Ruta. R-U-T-A.
Ruta.
Ruta gravelionis. G-R-A-V. It's the Latin name. And they have it just says a little something on the remedy container, but it's so much broader than that. You can always Google it. Homeopathy Ruta, it'll come up.
And the homeopathic remedies are actually in little sugar pellets, which I don't mind at all.
No, they're great. Babies. Homeopathy does amazing for children.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Probably.
And first, they don't mind taking them because they take a little piece of candy. They don't mind at all, and they work wonderfully for, fevers. Belladonna, it's another poison. But when you have a fever and you're hallucinating and all the energy's going up to your head, belladonna,
Also for high blood pressure, belladonna alkaloids will lower your blood pressure.
Right, but in homeopathy, in
if you
this
take it in
form,
excess, it'll kill you.
Right. I mean, and remember that this medicine came out of like the 1800s when they were using these natural herbs, and everything that comes from homeopathy is from the plant, mineral, animal kingdoms. And now anything. I mean, you can make a remedy out of a crystal. They use colors, everything.
Okay. Melee wants to know, do you use homeopathy for animal digestive issues as well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And is the dosing milligrams per kilogram like it is when you're dosing adults, or doesn't it really?
No, actually, animals and children, you can go higher in potency because they're more in tune with they're more aligned. They're in tune with their higher self, so to
They
speak.
haven't been wrecked by
They don't.
society. Speaking of higher self, we're going to get into another very interesting portion of your life. Another thing you told me when we were in prep, and I will share this with the audience because some people might like it. These are alcohol compatible. So
Well,
you can
if you
actually
want
mix
to,
them into your cocktail.
that's part of the dilution process. Part of the preparation of a remedy is alcohol, water, mother
So
tincture, a little bit of alcohol, water, succussion, and then on and on and on.
yeah.
You know
So
what
you
I
can
do
just
want
like
to?
dump it. You can have like magic Tito's or something, magic Tito's martinis.
Of course, Anthony's talking about
Of course.
connecting
I'm just thinking
alcohol.
if everybody in the house has a cold, you might as well just get drunk together and heal.
No, it's
I
not
mean, this
like
could be
that.
fabulous. That's a party,
Although,
girl.
what I did want to explain, what we talked about, Anthony, when we were prepping when I was explaining the remedy sulfur, and I just want to explain something about the like cures like and moving the illness out of the body. If you have eczema, my daughter had eczema as a baby, and the doctor told me that eczema and asthma were linked together. As
Oh, wow.
eczema will turn into asthma. But what's happening? We do is we cortisone, we suppress it back into the skin, and energy has to go somewhere, and it moves in to a more important organ, a more vital organ, into the lungs. So that's where the asthma comes from. It's coming from this suppressed, through cortisone, the suppressed expression of the body trying to heal itself. So that's the law of opposites. It's trying to suppress instead of letting it express. And a very popular remedy for sulfur, which is, you would think, it's a hot remedy like cures like. But again, there's not an original molecule. There's not a molecule of the original substance in the remedy. So it's nothing to be alarmed about. And if you're allergic to the drug sulfa, very likely you need the remedy like cures like.
Okay, because I do have an allergy to sulfa drugs. I took them, then I went off them, and when I went back on them, all hell broke loose, and nobody knew it was. Yeah, I got erythema, which is like a nightmare. It was really very painful. Another doctor and just went on to something else. But that's good to know. So what you're saying is potentially I can take sulfa remedy and then be able to take sulfur remedy and then be able to take sulfa drugs again.
Or you may not need to take it because the sulfur could have it. Yeah.
Because that was actually for a respiratory drama that I was going through. And it was actually a very good drug to help keep that under control. So let's see, you didn't just grow up happy, learning about energy and then going to school. You had what we called were the lost years, where you did some experimenting with psychotropic drugs. You went into the spiritual quest. Can you talk about that?
Yes, I could talk about that. So I decided that why not just cut to the chase and heal? So I was getting headaches, migraines where they were less about the head pain than it was about it was a whole thing. And I was getting nauseous and vomiting. And this very, like a real involuntary purge. It was just like I was purging.
You'd be like on the crosstown bus and all of a sudden you're
No,
yakking?
not like that. I knew it was coming, and then it would be like, oh, I don't feel good, lie down, and then you don't feel better until the purge comes, and whatever. So I was purging, so I was kind of used to vomiting, and it was really getting to be not a big deal to me. So when I was in school, homeopathy school, one of our teachers was talking about one of her clients who was prepping to do ayahuasca. And ayahuasca was something that it made you purge, and then you had this spiritual opening, this whole connection. And I was like, I've been training for this. Who knew that? I've been in training and I'm ready. That's why I was purging. So now I know this is my path. I'm meant to do ayahuasca. So I spent a lot of time like researching it and reading about it and a million YouTube videos and the whole thing. And I really made sure it was what I wanted to do. And plus I just love shamanic teachings and, so it was right up my alley. And then
the prep, the prep was in Brooklyn, was it not? Because you went to Costa Rica to do ayahuasca.
And I did 12 ayahuasca ceremonies in Costa Rica within the span of a year. I went 3 times to Costa Rica in 1 year and purged my little heart out.
And what did it do for you? I mean, I'm joking because I'm an old party monster, but what did it do for you spiritually? I mean, how did it change you as a person?
Well, prior to the ayahuasca, which you and I always joke about, I did take combo, which is frog poison. And
you just are out of your mind.
I know. And the reason being is in the Amazon, combo, frog poison, is the best thing you can do for your immune system. So and if you think about it, that's also a poison. So your body just reacts, everything, revs up, and you purge and other things. And then after a little while, you're clean. Your body is just operating at a higher level. So it was a difficult purge for me. And that was a difficult purge. Well, the ayahuasca kind of took off where that left. So there was more purging energies that your body no longer needs, and they're emotional, they're spiritual. So that was a big thing. That was a big thing for me to come face to face with this.
So you say the energies your body no longer needs. Would that be like traumas that you were still holding on to, or?
I even think it's the healing that took place there was very deep. But as far as besides that, I really understood that I knew I already was everything I was trying so desperately to become. I would go into a state which it was just like the universe was telling me, it was validating what I doubted about myself. It's like, I know this about myself, but I can't believe it because it can't be true. This can't be true. And it just validated that I am, everything that I believed, everything about spirituality, everything about being connected to your higher self, about knowing that you are a being of light, knowing that you do have these powers as a human being, and you have intuition, and you have healing abilities, and you have a knowledge beyond this 3D world. You think you know these things, but then you doubt them or whatever. And it just made it very clear to me. And it also made it very clear to me that we are all one in this universe. We're very connected. And just a million different things personally that you clean up and you come to grips with and you face, and some of it is not pretty at all and it's very difficult. And then other times you're just floating in bliss and you just take what the universe has, and it's just a very enlightening experience, and it
The
takes you to
underworld. It's like a
yeah,
descent into the underworld. This is
it
interesting because
is.
in a lot of philosophy and a lot of mythology, that theme is there. I spoke about this once before. I forget which show it was, but it's worth repeating. Um, the descent of was queen of the earth, and her father was the king of heaven. And then she got her father drunk on date wine, and he handed her the keys to heaven. They says, "Now I'm going to the underworld and take that from my bitch sister Arishka Gal." But when she went down there, she had to go through. I mean, I can only imagine what it felt like with all that purging coming out of everything. Um, so it was going into chaos. The Jesus story, he's plunged into the ground for 3 days and then ascends, a changed being, very much like he was, but broader, more connected externally to his world around him as well as closer to himself. Um, Isis and Osiris. Osiris was plunged into the Nile and torn up by a crocodile, and then he came back. But this is what's interesting about the Egyptian myth. He didn't have his penis. I guess the croc ate it, or maybe Lorena Bobbitt took it and threw it in a parking lot by the pyramids in Giza. But the point is that that was a symbol for masculinity. Now, the metaphor between being plunged into the underworld is that the animus, or male energy, conscious energy, is completely out of balance with your intuitive and receptive self. So by plunging you into the feminine, into the anima, into the divine feminine, into the underworld where all the secrets are, and you can only depend on your intuition, balances those energies out. So it would make perfect sense that your particular experience was sort of rounded out and then multiplied by the psychotropic experience in Costa Rica and Brooklyn. So all the purging and all the poisons and everything seemed to elevate you, and you seem to have felt it just intrinsically after the case, because you said to me the other day is it made you realize you were connected and part of everything.
Yes,
And that
absolutely.
is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So at the right time. And then you came back and now you're this proper homeopath with
Oh yeah, I'm so
thriving
wonderfully.
practice. Yeah. Nobody would know you were running to Brooklyn and puking up from frog
No, no,
poison.
no.
Everything just froze on my screen. I don't know
Yeah,
what's going on.
know.
I should not mention that. So anyway, that is a pretty extraordinary part of your story. Does anybody else have any questions for Stacy or for me? Because now we're going to start talking about her other talents, your intuitive stuff, your reading, your tarot reading. I mean, how does that fit in with all of this?
Tarot's my psychology background, basically in archetypes, and it's just always there in mythology, right? So the tarot is just, it's just an expression of the different aspects of any human and their trials and tribulations. So I always refer to my cards, just as a connection of me, and I love how they test you and they make you know what you really want. Like I like to do yes and no questions with my cards a lot, which you know what you want, but sometimes you need it to be expressed in your face.
That
I
you
guess I need a
shouldn't be
lot of in
having
your
it.
face kind of feeling
Yeah.
because I keep going for that, like, well, let's just cut to the chase. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, and I always love the tarot, but I love everything most things esoteric, and I love to look at the world symbolically and energetically and like from the fifth dimensional perspective. That's why this whole, awakening and the 5D and the energies moving through. I see everything from that perspective. I always had, like, if every time somebody has an illness, I'm always relating it to a metaphysical reason. Like there's a reason for everything, and
Yeah, there is. And the body, the mind, and the spirit are connected, and more people are beginning to understand that now, thank goodness. But I was just wondering, has your connection, because you were reading tarot for a long time, and then I'm assuming you were doing it before you went to school to get your
Right.
licensure. So now that you've sort of grown and expanded and rounded out as a person, has your reading changed? Has the
Yeah.
way you read or the way you're interpreting, has that been affected at all by your own growth? And how? How so?
I think I think it's my confidence level, because ayahuasca really showed me that I did have all of these things that I didn't let myself believe I had, because it's low self-esteem, or it's ridicule, or who knows, like people always think that stuff is you're a quack and you're the witch doctor. I mean, I got that my whole life, because I've been doing alternative medicine my whole life. So I was always like, can you make me a potion? And that's fine. I am a witch. I am going to make you a potion. It's a remedy, but whatever. So it's always been kind of like, you're the loon, and you take that, you take that to heart, and you doubt yourself, and you think, I don't know. So I personally doubted myself. A lot of my gifts I doubted, and the experience with the ayahuasca just kept telling me, you already know, you already know, you already know. Like, I just constantly, like, I almost felt like, oh, I could go home now. I already know. So in my readings, I have a lot more confidence, and when you have more confidence, just everything pops.
Yeah, everything you're hearing and seeing, the most subtle things that you would have missed before. What's interesting is what you were just describing is that you were believing, you were allowing somebody else's narrative, you were living somebody else's narrative about yourself. It was thrust on you. Because I go through the same thing. People say, what do you do? And I say, oh, nothing. And now that I'm old, they say, well, what did you used to do? Actually, I've never done a thing in my life. Because the minute you tell them you do something like this, it all starts. And then I start. Um, and now I am expressing that. So what happened is, prior to your spiritual experience in Costa Rica, you were living somebody else's myth about you. And then by discovering your connection with everything around you, you developed your own. So you actually, the reason I think you were prevented or you didn't have confidence is that you created in the quantum the result of somebody else's equation in their judgment of you. And then you finally made your own. And as you perceived yourself differently, your life changed. As you see your world, so shall it become. So you saw your world differently because of an amazing connective and mind expanding experience that you went through. Not many people have the mettle to do that. I'd hesitate a little bit, but you just got to do what you got to do, I suppose. And you always know when the moment is right to do it. And look what it did for you. It just rounded you out beautifully. So now you're all up and running. So if somebody wants an appointment with you, what about your energy healing? How do you work with that? I know you do Reiki. But what
Yeah,
other
so
kinds of
now
energy work do you do?
I'm actually developing, for my energy healing. I really want to focus on people who don't know how to connect with their own energy. And I taught yoga for a long time, and I love to teach beginners, because so many people, they don't understand. I mean, they feel their energy, but they don't think they do. Or, like, people thought, oh, I can't do yoga. Sure you can. So my energy healing, I want to call it like almost like energy healing for beginners, but that makes no sense. But my point is to bridge the gap between people who don't think they, can feel their energy, or they don't have a connection to their chakras, or let them understand their energy systems, and just bring them into the holistic version of themselves. We're all one. I mean, you cannot separate out your mental field from your emotional field from your physical. You can't. We're always operating as this multidimensional, being. So, but you talk like that, and people are like, well, and that's what I really want my work to be, is always kind of been geared toward that. But I feel like my energy healing sessions, like if somebody who had their, who have all their chakras lined up, and they're like, channeling the Pleiadians, they don't need me. You know, I want to work with people who want to get on board with their multidimensionality.
We have another question from Norcy. Baby is teething, tiny tot that wants to rip the flesh off anything. Any suggestions? And I do have, I hope she doesn't kill me for sharing this, but the day he was being christened, he was also teething. And he tried to bite the priest, which I thought was like badass, but I don't know if anybody else did. So
Chamomilla.
Oh yeah?
Chamomilla. CHO
Okay.
chamomile, ILLA. It's wonderful for teething babies, and you know, it's the number one remedy. And that one I'll throw out there as because babies have pretty much, you know, no garbage on them. So it's kind of you can say all babies can use.
So even you could do like chamomile tea?
No, well, you know what? The remedies work differently.
Or
the remedies are
poultice?
going to. What's that?
Can you make a poultice out of chamomile flowers, or?
I'm talking about in potency, meaning in the energetic. So it's easy. There's plenty of them too. When they come in little they melt right in their mouth. That's a popular one. You'll find, you may even find that in like a Dwayne Reed. So it's chamomilla, and sometimes it's called TVs or something else, and it'll say homeopathically prepared chamomilla. Yeah, and a chamomilla baby, you give it something and it throws it back. Sometimes one cheek's red, one cheek isn't. It's just like these keynotes that are just spot on when you see a teething baby. It's just.
Okay, so that's good to know. Somebody else was happy about sulfur remedies. That's good. Do we have any other questions, or anybody want to come on screen? I can't see anything here. Okay, so I don't know, we're about an hour in. If there are no questions or nobody that wants to come on screen, do you have any parting words, or does anybody want a reading from Stacy? We can do that too. If anybody wants like a mini tarot reading, we can certainly do that for you on the air. And we'll give them a minute to do it in chat. But what a beautiful understanding of nature and how to use it for health, and a great understanding that there are alternatives to Western medicine and pharmaceuticals that can be so toxic.
Absolutely.
So,
So, and you know, you can use remedies to clear out those toxins, you know.
Okay. So I guess that's it. I guess we should probably call it a night, because people are probably running around looking for remedies and
or
trying to heal themselves. Nobody seems interested in a reading, so
okay, cool.
That's it. So again, you can reach Stacy at stacychiulli.com. CHIULLI, and you can take a look at her website, take a look at her philosophy. There's a great screenshot of it, and she'll be able to hook you up with the remedy that's going to just improve your life and help you see things differently. She's a brilliant lady. She shoots straight from the hip, so you don't have to worry about being double talked into anything. And she's right here in Manhattan, so go there, make an appointment, and she'll be happy to work with you. Okay. So thank you, folks. I do want to remind you that we will accept 15 to 30-second ads if you'd like to run an ad during anybody's broadcast that's on esoteric.nyc. Any of our shows. We have shows several nights a week. I believe that there's an email listed on the website. If not, Scott can give that. He can put it in chat or just say it out loud to find out what our parameters are. And it would be great to advertise yourself. Again, next week, we have Scott Wass, who's coming on, and he's going to talk about many things, including a spectacular wands. And he'll be doing a trunk show at Astro West next Sunday, the 7th, between noon and 5, and I will also be there, and maybe Stacy will too, because she lives in the neighborhood as well, and it might be fun to run by and meet some people. So with
Yes.
that, I thank you all for coming. I thank you, Stacy, for being so
Thank
generous
you.
with your time and so expository with your experience. I mean, I think it's spectacular, and I hope you've given people some understanding that there's something else that they can do besides nothing or Western medicine. And I love the fact that it can work, it can support Western treatment. So you're not giving people a choice. You can actually use it to enhance what Western medicine can do.
Absolutely.
And your demeanor is lovely. So I'm sure that anybody who gives you a call is not going to be disappointed.
Thank you.
So thank you. And thank you, Scott. And I guess that's it. Oh, a
Okay.
beautiful quote. Thank God for the wisdom keepers like Stacy. I will see you for one-on-one this month. So Mariana is already looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah, that's very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I always say if we can change one life, that's enough.
That's right.
So thank you all and be well.